Alrighty, this is an impromptu VRVP walkthrough, I guess. This will be, I'm going to try to do it as plainly as possible for somebody who's never really used it, but you've seen it, and you want like the simplest possible way to conceptualize what it does and what it is. So what it is the VRVP, the visible range volume profile. So in indicators on TradingView, you would just type that in, it'll pop up. And it's this here on the left. You can change that. It can go on the left or the right. That's up to you. I don't like it on the right because then it's in the way of current or present price action. I don't like that. I prefer it on the left. I don't use it much anymore, to be completely honest, but I understand a lot of people do. And every once in a while I still look at it. I still have it on my TradingView account set up. I just usually have it turned off. So once you open it, the first thing I have always done is put this row size to at least 200, if not higher. Because what it does is it breaks up your actual meters here and it makes it broader. So if you put this at like 50, it gets really chunky, which is fine. It's more a matter of preference. I like it less chunky. I like it thinner because then I can see more clearly, okay, well, there was a spike here. There was a spike here. It makes it more obvious where the high volume nodes are. So beyond that, the only other thing I really changed, I have the value area volume at 100. I believe that's default, but I could be wrong about that. And then you can change the width. So if you put this to 10, it becomes shorter and fatter, which is nice because it disturbs your price action less. But same, I like this a little bit more. I like it to be extremely obvious where the high volume nodes are. Because usually what I do is I turn this on, I'll mark levels, and then I'll turn it off. I don't leave it on. So I put this at 30. Then you have your value area high, your value area low, and your POC. Obviously colors, whatever you want. The POC is the middle because that is going to be in this range that you have set. Where was the most volume traded at? That's your POC, your point of control. The value area low is the low end of the range, and the VAH or value area high is the high end of the range. These also I do not use. I have these turned off because I can see with my eyes, this is the POC, this is the value area high, and this would be the low. But in the beginning, if you need it for help, then leave it on. So that's what that would look like. Now with the VRVP, it's not fixed. So depending on where you're at in the chart, it's going to snap. Sometimes it takes a minute, but there, it re-snapped. So now the POC is different, the value area high is different, and the value area low is different. They will adjust. This is the visible range volume profile, and it is not fixed. So as you move around, it takes a minute, but then it snaps to wherever you're at. So again, the way that I use this personally is I will turn all of this off. I will come in here and I will Alt-H, which puts a horizontal line. I would have Alt-H'd down here because that's a high volume node. I probably would have put one here, maybe one here because these are all right around the point of control. So those are important levels. And then I would have put one up here where I already have one. And then maybe one at the lower end of the node. Now, kind of the idea behind it and why people use it is because these gaps here where you don't have a lot going on, right here and right here, the idea is that a lot of the time price action will jump through those or drop through those relatively quickly while they're searching an area of higher volume. So if you were to have, say price action where it's at, let it wait to snap to wherever it's going to be. There you go. So the idea is that it's going to jump around here for a hot minute. Now, if it falls below this low volume, or I'm sorry, this high volume node on the low end, the idea is that it'll snap through the pocket. Likewise, bounce, 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 bounce. As it comes up, the idea is it'll jump through that zone, maybe catch some resistance there, jump through this hoop right here, and then catch resistance again. And then it might fail that high volume node, or it might capture it and jump above it. That's the idea. It's just like anything else, so it's not perfect. This doesn't work all the time. But the way that I would use it personally is I put my horizontal lines there And then I would come in here and I would turn it off because I don't like it on. To me, it's cloudy. It just, once the lines are there, I know where they're at. And I'll usually do that on a higher time frame. Then what you could do is once you have the higher time frame or the wider section all leveled out, you could come in and you could use what is called the fixed range volume profile. That you can find over here on the side. It's right under anchored VWAP, which I definitely recommend using, but the fixed range volume profile. You can click that. Oh, and then from, say, this is the high of this zone, this is the low of that zone. So you can drag from the high to the low, or from the low to the high. And what it does is it puts now a fixed range volume profile, meaning it doesn't move. So on the VRVP, this moves, right? We established that. As you scroll through, it's going to snap to wherever you're at, which is nice because it's fluid and it moves with you. But once I've put all my horizontals like we already did, I've already got the volume nodes all leveled out. Now maybe I'm trading on a lower time frame like scalping and futures. Now I could put a fixed volume profile here. Now this just shows you from the high to the low starting at this time, meaning it's not calculating behind it, it's calculating from here forward. Now I know in the session, usually, start one at 8 a.m. Now I know this is where we're at now. So now I see one of my high time frame, this is one of my horizontal lines, right? One of my higher time frame or wider zone levels is being, there's a corresponding level here. This one is, obviously not exactly in the same place, but it's right there and everything is a zone. So it's right there. Then this other high time frame level is also right there. That was the POC on the wider. Then you could, if you were, scalping, you could put another one here. That's higher volume. And then you could put one right here because that's higher volume. And then you could delete this. And now in the session, I have a very clear understanding of all of the areas of higher volume where a lot of trades were placed and traded at. That is how I use it. That is how I was taught. And it's worked well for me. Beyond that, I know a lot of people do a lot of different things with them. But in terms of marking out levels, understanding like as it comes up to a high volume node, there is either a chance, traditionally, right? Nothing's perfect, that it might catch some resistance there. So decent place to short sometimes. And oftentimes, if it comes up to the POC or to a high volume node and it captures it, many times it will do that with force, meaning a breakout. It's just something to have like in the back of your head. It's something to, use as confluence on top of hopefully many other things that we're using when we're trying to play this wonderful game. But that's how I use it. So it's relatively simple. If there was anything specific that I missed, this video is for somebody who specifically asked for it. So if you want me to expand on anything, or if I didn't answer any of the questions in the chat, I'm happy to do something else, or I'll just answer in the comments or whatever. But that's how I use it. It's helpful. It's good. I use it on top of other things. And a lot of the time I will notice that it adds confluence to higher time frame levels or round numbers, many things. But the anchored VWAP, sometimes moving averages, it's just another thing to be like, okay, I feel very confident about what I'm thinking here. Also, it corresponds with where volume is relatively high. So it's useful. But that's it. Hopefully this answers some of your questions. And good luck.